Is there anyone here? Well, that's a good start, isn't it? Is there anyone here? Is there anyone here? This will need your hand signal. That's ever moved from one home to another, from one house to another house. Is there anyone here? There's ever moved from one house to another. Can I see your hand if you've moved from one house to another? Yeah. Isabel, you've never moved ever, right? 5 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. Okay. I'd like to ask a question about that. Did that ever change who you are? Did it ever change your essential nature? In other words, what moved? You moved from one house to another. But did your essential nature change because you moved? Or did your appearance change only? That's like saying, you were never not here. You were never not now. It's just your appearance that changes. Your appearance mentally, emotionally, perhaps psychologically, physically changes. The appearance changes. But did you move house? Or did those houses simply move through you? Like a procession of patterns moving through essential nature. Would it make any difference to any of us, deeply, truly, if from deep dreamless sleep, your appearance changed? You woke up in London, for instance. You woke up in Rome. You woke up in Paris. You woke up somewhere in, I don't know, Czechoslovakia. It's funny if I look around and certain countries come to mind. I don't know why that one came to mind, but in other words, we can look at each other and we can look at things, but we're only ever reading the appearance of patterns. And if, while we look at each other or look at things or look at where we woke up this morning, what room did we wake up in? We're just, as it were, reading the appearance of things or patterns. But if we looked truly, really, deeply, what we are essentially remains unchangeable. And it's the unchangeable that is freedom itself. The unchangeable is free. It's not the patterns being free of a pattern that makes one free. That's just an appearance. It's not a different kind of body that makes you feel free. That's just an appearance. That different kind of body will also change. All appearances change. All minds change. After all, aren't all patterns, appearances simply a river of life or energy? Is life and energy, is it the same? Is energy life and life energy? And if we looked in life, can we not see that life changes, it flows, it changes, its appearance? Like, for instance, when we look at each other here on this screen, isn't it one life with different appearances? Hello, Yama. Hi, Laura. Hi, Lee. Isn't it the same life, different appearances? And maybe if we were to stay with this way which we're moving at the moment, different appearances, different patterns of the same life. And could we say then that the deeper we go into where the pattern comes from, the deeper we go to where the appearance comes from, we literally, as awareness, reach the source of all life, all pattern, all movement, and it is still unchangeable, whole, complete. Is that not what one is? Is one simply mixed up with patterns? Is one simply mixed up with appearances? Now, really come along with this, okay? Because I'm not aiming to reach some blank screen. Let's get straight to the blank screen. Let's discover what happens when you and I, whoever you and I are, might say I'm human, might say I'm man, might say I'm woman, might say I'm neither man nor woman, might say I am, might say I am not. But when we go a little bit deeper, do we feel or experience the pull, the pull? Yeah, that was for Anastasia, associate tug. And some of us, the English people, will go tug. Oh, a boat that pulls another boat. So we're sorry, Isabel. Isabel's getting confused there with my language. The pull, when we go beyond, or just a little bit deeper than appearance, don't we feel the pull of that appearance to remain the same? Is that not the same as saying we feel the pull of a pattern created in a particular shape or code of energy to remain the same? So the pattern, of which is an appearance, because it comes and goes, we feel the pull of a pattern to keep the energy, the code, knowable, unchangeable. Because there's something within the appearance and within a pattern that is unchangeable. But that is what I am. That is one's essential nature. One's essential nature is unchangeable. Because every pattern and all appearances At the very ground is the unchangeable. It is that I am. And more than I am, I can just say that. I can point towards an empty space, but that empty space is full of the entire cosmos, the pattern, the appearance of the cosmos, full of its very ground, consciousness, the light from which all this moves from, life, consciousness. But maybe what I am is even beyond consciousness, the absolute. So there's never a moment when whoever we are is either entangled with appearance. How far, how deep does appearance go? Can you be sitting in your office? Can you be sitting in your factory? Can you be sitting in your work? And appearance is moving. And it's moving as a pattern. And the pattern is known through identity. But at the very base of all this, as long as I've not lost you, the very base of this, the very core depths of this is the unchangeable as the ground of everything. But it lends itself to everything, so the idea begins to be entangled that an image of me is unchangeable, but it is not. An idea of me is unchangeable, but it is not. My appearance is always like this, but it is not. You lend what you are as the unchangeable to everything that changes. Wow. Can you see how truly amazing that is? Wow. Excuse me if I have a buzz flush go through. Maybe I'm on my own, but I had a buzz flush. Wow. You know that when energy moves free of appearance, it's like a river and you get a buzz. You lend what you are to everything you see, everything you taste, everything you touch, everyone you commune with. You lend what you are, unchanging reality to it all. But unless we see this, we get frustrated. We don't see things as patterns. We don't see things as energy. We don't see things as appearances. That's like saying we don't see what we are and how what we are moves the entire universe of patterning and of life. Can you see this? Can you imagine this? And even the word imagine is just a pointer to say, you have everything in your hand. Everything is in your hand. Everything is there. Imagine, or not, the unleashed power of that. But you don't have to imagine it. No, it's already unleashed. And it appears as cosmos. Just don't recognize the unleashing of what you are in everything. So you get frustrated, confused. We get frustrated and confused because we don't see what we are amongst everything that appears. We want it to change according to a like of a particular pattern, a like of a particular appearance. We don't see we're lending our infinite ability and possibility to all appearance, all pattern. Even your body is a pattern. But this pattern is limited. This body, mind idea is limited. Look to the cosmos. That is your body. That is unlimited towards the unlimited, simply because it changes, so it can't be. It's a larger expression of what one is, but still changing. So it's not ultimate. The ultimate is what one already is. That can't be named. Can't be held in your hand, but it's in your hand. Can't be walked in by your knowingly in your feet, but it's in your feet. Can't be seen with your eyes, but you see. Can't be heard with your ears, but you hear. Can't be known by your mind, but you know. So it's to discover. First off, I suggest, but again here I'm very tender with this. I don't want to point towards yet another pattern. So one must find one's way. The end of pattern, the mind calls death. The beginning of pattern, the mind calls birth. If birth and death no longer were, would it be consciousness itself? Eternal, bright, already free. One could say a play. The one we look as awareness. You're asking you yourself to give up the entanglement in your knowing with pattern and energy and movement. We achieve that, if we can say we achieve it, to some degree or other, in falling into deep dreamless sleep. It's quite natural for awareness to simply return to that prior to pattern, energy, and even light. For what one is the absolute. Absolutely that, prior to the appearance of the movement of energy, light, and apparent things. One is the very source, power, energy, weaver of this moment. And it's very strange that the very weaver, the very source itself, is entangled with its own pattern entangled with its own energy, entangled with its own appearance. And if we look into this world, we will see that entanglement 24/7. Not as a judgment, but just to see that entanglement. And maybe if we could just for a moment become our own neurosurgeon, we might discover that entanglement is in our brain. We might discover that entanglement is in mind. But we also might find that entanglement is in that that's never entangled. Awareness. Okay, so let's just take this another step. If we kind of got the ground of what I'm endeavoring to put across and share with thee. One is, very posh word, one is. One is actually not ever entangled with one's own energy, one's own image, one's own pattern. No. One is entangled with the entirety of creation. Because one is not an individual. One is the whole. And every apparent appearance of an individual is oneself just appearing outside so you can see and know yourself. So the idea that you're entangled with your own energy, entangled with your own appearance, entangled with your own pattern, no, I say to you. The entire cosmos is the entanglement of appearance to this I that's listening to these words now. So here we all are, wherever we are, sitting here. And we may perceive ourselves to be an I, because you can only perceive from an I. But when there is no longer an I, there is no need for perception. An I disappears. And what is. And then the great knower that knows nothing and yet knows it all is. So in a kind of a Jamaican lingo, you just is. You just is. But the moment you begin to perceive, in other words, step from is, you're going to step into was appearance. Then the I begins to arise, and from I you can perceive duality. But step back from this idea of I, and there is no duality. Ah, tingle, tingle in my toes. Tingle, tingle on my nose. Tingle, tingle through my mind. Things seem to be unwind. I made that up. It's pretty good, isn't it? So we could say, but it wouldn't be absolutely true, we share in the entanglement of all beings on this planet. We'll just keep this free of the universe. I don't think we've graduated there quite yet. Some may. So we say, that's your stuff, that's my stuff. No, there's just stuff. There's just stuff. Let's just stay with stuff for a moment. When we finally tasted your stuff, my stuff, his stuff, her stuff, that stuff, this stuff, that stuff, when we finally taste it enough, we go, stuff it. Stuff it. When we finally stuff it, in other words, we've let go of it, the stuff goes through the eye of the needle of I am. And we realize, oh my God, that wasn't his stuff, her stuff, that stuff, this stuff. That's simply the stuff of time. That's simply the stuff of mind. That's simply the stuff of entanglement, of appearance and pattern. Energy. And when it finally goes through my eye, and in other words, when I finally allow I to feel, see, and know it, but now this I is no longer a location as a me, it's just an I. That energy transforms in the eye of this consciousness. And it goes beyond the I and returns to the absolute. And it's there that the I is finally, as it were, evaporated. And what I am is completely open, alive, and absolutely at rest with what is. Because really, what is all there really is. The rest is mind appearances of patterns of energies that just are dancing throughout the cosmic space of I as they do. We're completely seen through this. The dance of that I, as many eyes, will still continue. But it has nothing to do with what you are anymore. Because you've discovered that you're the ground of it all, untouched by it, unchanged by it. Yes, you've moved from one house to the other, but now you're finding you're unchanged. The idea that you needed a particular pattern, the idea that you needed a particular energy, the idea you needed a particular appearance, all sewn together in the world. The world is all that sewn together. Now energy is no longer directed to appearance. Energy is no longer directed to a particular pattern. Energy is no longer directed to duality. Now it's a real dance of the joy of love, being, and joy. It has no need for anything to be worked out. It didn't come from appearances. It didn't come from energy. It didn't come from pattern. It didn't come from anything. It didn't come from a one. It's what is. You is. What is. You is. You are his. Strange thing about this placeless place that one is. Energy, pattern, light, dances in the joy of the unchangeable. No longer entangled with appearance. No longer entangled with, I must change this pattern so that I feel better, to another pattern that eventually will just be as tragic as the last because of entanglement. With that changes. So then, let's move this on in a bit of a leap, and we have to be really clear here. Can I create without entanglement? May I show you a very simple entanglement? Very simple one. My body is me. Very simple entanglement. Another one that's quite simple. The house I live in is the one I need to have. If you keep looking at this, all that we actually see is entanglement of infinity with finite forms that pass away. That is one's pain. That is one's disturbance. That is one's suffering. That is the entanglement of all beings throughout the universe that have not realized the ground of all things. It's infinite and unchangeable. And one can say, with a kind of a lightened eye, I am that. So then can we do whatever we do? Create whatever we create as a movement of original creation, as a movement of original source. Can we create what we create without the entangled energy, the entangled identity, the entangled appearance, the entanglement with the known? If we look in our lives, we might honestly discover we're just moving the known and dressing it up to be new. In very, very many ways. It might be that we need new math. It might be that we need new gods. It might be that we need new everything. It might mean that we need to be new ourselves. Rid of entanglement with what was, to be with what is. So is it possible then to live the kind of life that doesn't live entanglement? Now let me just be very clear what entanglement is. Couldn't be simpler, really. The entanglement is the known. That's entanglement. Hello? Confucius? Wiggly, wriggly. The known is entanglement. Oh, I know what I do. I'll move away from the known, says the known. I'll go over here. I'll go around the other side of the world, says the known. And you're just carrying it with you. Do you see what I mean? So, can I create and cease adding the ingredients of the past to produce something fresh and new, then surely the Creator would need to be free of all creation, surely. And I would suggest a Creator that's free of all past creations comes upon one power only, the power of joyful freedom that doesn't need a single thing to happen or to have. One is joyful freedom. Free of the known, one is joy. And then one's function, I would suggest, is incredible play of delight and wonder. Where maybe even many can gather as joyful freedom without trying to create it, because there's no need to be created. It's uncreated, wasn't born, doesn't die. So let's have a look then at our own minds, our own brains. Does one, whoever one is, have to totally rid oneself of program? By the way, I must have breakfast this morning and I must have it at 8:30. No, I must have breakfast and I must have it at 9 o'clock. No, I must have breakfast and I must have it at 7, at 8, at 9, and at 10. That's obviously a hobbit, because hobbits have first breakfast, second breakfast, third breakfast, fourth breakfast, and some of you have seen the movie and some wouldn't. That's me, by the way. Can one just move away from habit? Moving away from habit, isn't that spontaneity? Moving away from habit. Isn't that, as it was, somewhere in the human brain, your neurons fire differently because they're not moved by the same force of entanglement, but they're moved by the power of freedom. And is it not the power of freedom itself that can go into its own creation and discover all manner of beings, proliferate the cosmos in such joy and wonder and possibility? Is freedom then a frequency that's free? Frequency that has no need of want, no need of need, although the basics are always looked after. But can I be free of the known? Does my mind then, is it now capable of exploring the universe with the light that I am? So then I might live on a lot of edges that I wouldn't do before. A little question on the side, a little question on the side, just a little question on the side. Is the state of humanity and society simply as it is because it doesn't extend itself beyond the known? It needs security of the known. Therefore, it actually creates the insecurity through needing security of the known. Does this make any sense to you? So then, can I live? Can I emerge? Let's just look at what I mean by emerge. See if it's what you know. Isn't emergence the very fact that at the ground of it all, there is pure being, infinite in nature? So it doesn't matter whatever happens, whatever takes place, or however entangled I've seemed to have been, being can emerge through it all because it's the very ground of it all, because being loans its infinity to all things that change. Be really clear about this. You loan your infinity to those finite forms of thought, feeling, things that pass away. You loan your infinity to them. The pattern pretends to be you. The appearance pretends to be you. You're not held in the pattern. You cannot not be you. Your entanglement is only with the impressions of patterned energy and appearance. That's all. It's an illusion. We're going to create some breathing music. But continue like this, I feel like Thomas the Tank Engine. Woo, woo. See how easy any of this knowing or this knowledge can simply be turned into a pattern. And then you can turn this knowing or this knowledge into a must do. And so therefore one is entangled with pattern once again. Is that not what religion is? Is that not what society is? These are questions. This is not me telling you. Ask a question. His entanglement is that you find a way that really begins to flow, but then one attaches to the impressions of the patterns that are in the flow, but don't remain the flow. The flow will never, ever attach to a pattern. The patterns are bobbing up and down in the river of potentiality, the flow. So there can be immediate recognition. I'm not entangled. No matter how I feel, how entangled I feel, I'm actually not entangled. I've loaned my infinite possibility and knowing to what appears to be entangled. But the entanglement is me. I've entangled the pattern in me through identification. And if we're honest, our societies live only in time-space entanglements. Imagine you being free of any idea that you could ever be entangled. Do you think that just might move his joy? Do you think that might move his love? Do you think that might move his... And wouldn't the ground of that be so incredibly deep and still that you would know there's no such thing as birth or death? Okay, I'm just going to blow a myth away for you, all right? Buckle up, okay? Buckle up. You know, got your buckles? Buckle up. Here is a myth for you. The job you so love because it pays your bills is such an entanglement, gives you an excuse to not be the fullest of that you are. You can leave anything right now and you can start everything right now. Mostly, rather than leave everything, be isness. Isness. All this is isness. In other words, the unchangeable is the ground of all of this. Be isness. And being isness, you go in knowingness. And you begin to see and know that first, that you're not entangled, and that you don't have to do and get to be. No, you're already being. You don't have to do to get to be. No, you're already fullness. You don't need to do any of that. Then that frees up the energy of patterning that you created an image of you through patterns, mental, emotional, psychological, all appearing as your life, your house, your friends, your partner, your cat, your dog. You even look at a bird in the sky, and if you're honest about it, the bird in the sky is just another pattern. When the bird in the sky is not a pattern, you experience love flying through the sky of your own awareness. And that is what a bird is. So, master a pattern. Some of you look right down the lens of the camera then, like it was a, master a pattern. Me? Master a pattern? We can make a movie like this. Master a pattern. Yes, master a pattern. How? By being present. By being here, by being now. By not moving your mind anywhere into a so-called future, because there is no such thing as a future. And there is no such thing as the past. It's all a brainwave. There's only presence. And I am it. Be so present that the forms of your present awareness. So this gets exciting, doesn't it? Wow, look, I'm going to sit in another place. Come on, Izzy. That's it. Izzy's getting in another place. The moment one is fully present as truly what is, the forms of one's awareness, the way you think, the way you see, the way you perceive, the way you vibrate, the way you relate. The forms of your awareness shift their vibration and shape. It will be eventually how humanity may shift the pattern of its own humanness when there is enough conscious beings to shift the pattern to being totally as awareness. So you can say, but B, I'm already doing this. And I say, then you wouldn't just say, B, I'm already doing this. You wouldn't say that. Our tendency is to be blindsided by the level of pattern in our mind that we choose to keep. So we don't see that there's levels of patterns that we choose to keep, and we'll only do with the ones we don't want. So the more we become absolutely free right now, it's rather like ice being warmed up, and water that's become solid crystal is now beginning to flow into different shapes. It's not that you're going to learn to stay with it because that creates space and time. It's that you're going to learn that you are this presence. And it's here and now. And it never takes shape in some future time or has a past. It doesn't have it. It can shift throughout the universe, and it can shift throughout all the dimensions of the one self. But it never creates space and time. And there's never any distance in its shift. It's all here and now. It doesn't need to go anywhere for a shift to take place. It doesn't have to do anything for a shift to take place. The shift is intrinsic in how I know myself and how I remain deeply and deepening in and as awareness. And then the patterns will undo, and new levels of my own pristine awareness will begin to vibrate, as it were, marry light and energy, and form a pattern. After all, a pattern is simply the sound of creation formed. A pattern is simply the sound of creation formed. So when you say your name, for instance, if your name for you had no past or future in it, your name is the sound of new creation instantly. But such a one has no need of a new creation because it's free of any idea that creation can give you anything. No, creation is simply the patterned energy vibrating and forming what you are now. Hence, when one gets very clear that one is pure awareness, the isness, then the river of life is always vibrating in the infinity of what one's true nature is. You have no need of a creation, new creation. It simply happens. So right now, hear the sound of your name. And the sound of your name comes as light from the black. But your real name, of course, is awareness. vibrating as Christiana, Marcia, Dan, Boris. But the entanglement is those patterns that are creating this moment called now should be dancing. If they're not dancing, they're entangled with you awareness through identification that you need a certain pattern for you to be what you already are. I know how ridiculous that is for you. And of course, the other thing, of course, is you don't need to be free of those patterns for you to be freedom itself. But your name is beloved. So if I was to say Ashley, that's the name of the beloved. So maybe the key to what we've been looking at today is that you and I are the unchangeable, the infinite, that loans its unchangeable nature to all that changes. Our entanglement is only with that, that's all. So if you've loaned your infinity to your body, you actually believe you're the body, but you know the body is going to drop away. But was it the body that was born and not you? And is it the body that's going to die and not you? I would say yes. And you will experience seamlessness between birth and death. Because it's you that is already complete. So you are loaning infinity, the unchangeable, to everything that you touch, see, and bring forth. Everything that you bring forth will always change. It will be born and it will pass away. It's you that doesn't. Never get entangled. It's about this time of day I feel Latte coming on. I must be entangled with Latte. I've done my best with tea. I've got ginger tea. It's hot. What would you like to share? What would you like to deeply, deeply communicate with another? See you in about 10 minutes. Enjoy the group you're moving to. See you in about 10.